Here's 9 things I wish I would have known before climbing Mount Hood. Stick around for number 8. It's gonna make sure that you have the best time if you are skiing or snowboarding. Let's get into it. Number 1 is sleeping in Timberline. It was a really good plan at the time. We ended up going to bed at a decent hour. However, people kept rolling in one after another, after another, after another. It really amounted to basically zero sleep or real fragmented sleep. People kind of start at all different times on Mount Hood. Some people were starting at like 12 a.m. and you have the doors shutting, slamming, stuff like that. So if you're like in the area, or if you are, only an hour away, I would maybe just drive there that day and then start the hike. Caveat to that is we were in the lower lot, and I don't know if the upper lot would be better, so that could be something to check out. I wish that I would have had 2 actual ice axes. A lot of people will say that they use 2 ice axes for the Mount Hood route, and I kind of thought that, or I guess I didn't really realize that, yeah, conditions will definitely facilitate what kind of tools you use. But I used a Petzl ice axe with a curved blade to it, which was great for the steep snow. And then I also used my buddy's Whippet, which is basically just a small ice axe attached to the top of a trekking pole, but made by Black Diamond. While that was okay, I would rather have had a ice tool or another type of curved axe like that. Now, most people that I saw on the route actually were using a ice tool. So an ice tool is actually for steep ice climbing. I think it's absolutely critical to have 2 forms of traction when you're going up in terms of an axe. So whether that is a Whippet, whether that is an ice tool, whether that's another ice axe. This one I didn't get on my Mount Hood climb this time, but I have in the past. Is make sure you're aware of how much sulfur you're breathing in when you get up to the Devil's Kitchen and to the Hog's Back. In the past, I have sat up there, had lunch, stuff like that, chilled for a little bit too long, and I ended up getting a headache from, I think probably because of the altitude, but mainly because of the sulfur that's coming from the Devil's Kitchen. Basically what it is just, actually I don't really know what it is, I guess, but it smells like rotten eggs, and the longer you hang up there, the more your head starts to throb. And especially if you go over to the old chute to the left, instead of going up straight to the pearly gates, if you go over to the old chute, you will get into an area called the Hot Rocks, and it's the same thing over there. So try not to hang there too long. Like, it's not that good of a place to have a break unless you're trying to transition to skis, to boots and things like that. But don't hang there that long, make your decision, and then go up whichever route it is that you wish to do. Bringing an extra tool, okay? And so this is for snowboard or a ski, especially if you are touring up to at least to the Devil's Kitchen or something like that. A touring bracket that came loose, a couple of the screws popped off, and I had to transfer the screws to the other side. Now, luckily enough, the person that I met on a Facebook group, which is another one of my tips, actually had a multi-tool, and that came in super duper handy. Going forward, I will always take some type of tool with me when I am touring or on a snowboard or if you have skis. My next tip is ice fall. So a lot of people warned about ice fall on this route, and I thought that we would be okay because it was the winter, but boy was I wrong. It turned out to be the biggest obstacle probably that I faced on the route and was actually super scary.
Yeah, if you just want to clear out of there ASAP. Ah, mother. Ah. Whoa, ice. Ice. Jesus, that went right over his head.
Portland Mountain Rescue actually posted a picture where they had a hole in their helmet from some of the ice fall on that day. Some of the ice fall for me actually knocked off my GoPro camera. I actually have bruises on my legs from some of the ice hitting my legs and my hands and things like that. So one is to really be aware of where you are in the fall line, especially if you're following a partner. Get out of the way of their fall line. Use natural obstacles to kind of block and get out of the way of some of the ice that might be falling from people that are coming down. Definitely wear a helmet. You should never do this route without wearing a helmet. I talked to a guy that was down climbing as I was going up, and he was telling me that if something like that happens, you need to secure yourself to the wall, to the ledge, put your ice axe in, and then just duck your head kind of like a turtle and just let the ice hit you in the head. And if you get knocked out, hopefully you'll be clinging to the ledge, you'll be secure enough, and you won't have fallen because you're unconscious. Somebody can help you, or you can come back too. Meeting people in Facebook groups is a really great way to go up there, especially if you don't have a partner, which was something that I didn't have. All the people that could have went with me were busy or whatever, and so I didn't really want to go solo. I figured I would probably meet somebody on the way up there, but you know, everybody kind of has their own group. So posting in, for me, it was the PNW Mountaineers group, or Pacific Northwest Mountaineers group, and just said, hey, is anybody doing hood? And I got some inboxes and things like that, and Jason was actually turned out to be an amazing partner. If you don't have anybody to go with, post in some kind of Facebook group. I'm sure there will be somebody that doesn't have a partner as well, because let's face it, mountaineering is kind of a weird sport and there's not that many people in it. You kind of got to be a little crazy. Next tip is, if you are snowboarding and if you have soft boots, I would recommend either get a pair of hard boots, or I would bring your mountaineering boots. I use my snowboard boots and I use some Cramp Universal crampons, and it could have been a combination of my mid to real hard flex on the snowboard boots and my crampons, because they're a little bit flexible. But what I could tell you is that front pointing was super hard in the snowboard boots. They actually kind of would crease a little bit as I was putting the pressure on them, which is kind of crazy, because if you try to flex my snowboard boot just without standing in them, it's very, very difficult. So I thought I would be okay with it. I ended up getting new crampons after this hood ascent, and so maybe those will perhaps make a difference. But I think really the best thing that you can do is wear some hard snowboard boots, or actually wear your mountaineering boots. The efficiency of front pointing when you have hard boots is a lot better than when you're constantly flexing your calves and your whole body's working, because you can't actually put your crampon into the wall, which is what happened with me, and you can get extremely tired from that. Next is, make sure you are securing things when you are on these winter ascents. It has been a very expensive winter for me. I have lost something every single time that I have went out this winter on an adventure, and most recently was my Garmin InReach Mini. No idea, threw it in my pack. You're doing most of your, you know, half of this ascent is in the dark. No idea where it might have fell out. So just make sure you're securing your stuff, or you leave any kind of break spot or whatever. Make sure you have all your essential gear, because especially when you get up higher up, if you're forgetting something that's very critical, that could be a life or death situation, really. Last tip, and the best tip for skiers and snowboarders, and probably a lot of people know this already, I didn't, as being a relatively new to the backcountry, but it is to wait for a little bit in the afternoon before you begin your descent. Well, we did it from the Hog's Back and the Devil's Kitchen. Waiting later in the afternoon, it allows the snow to warm up, and so it's not a sheet of ice, and you kind of get what's called corn snow. I think it's like riding a groomer. It's way easier for me than riding powder is. We ended up getting that corn snow, and it was absolutely amazing to ride on. It was a great time. And it was because we waited until a little bit later in the afternoon, where the sun was baking the snow and it was kind of turning it into slush, making the ski down way, way better. The best thing that you could probably do for Mount Hood is like and subscribe to this channel. If you want to see my Mount Hood ascent, I'll put it up here. We'll see you for the next video.